Hi. Malazan Book of the Fallen has given me so much over the years. It's my favorite series of all time, and what also stands out are some amazing moments that I want to share right now. Malazan gets this reputation of being very dense and hard to read and a little academic, but deep down there are moments of pure humanity that shines through. And I want to talk about it. I have three moments here. Actually, I only have two, but I picked the third one because three is a better number. So the first one is in Deadhouse Gate, where the first moment is actually Tavora, who Tavora has a little complicated relationship with her family, to say the least. In Deadhouse Gate, she tries to keep her sister, Felisan, whatever her name is, safe. But in a cruel turn of fate, she ends up being the one who actually kills her sister. This, of course, is very heartbreaking, but of course, Savora is none the wiser since her sister was masked and she had no idea who she bested in combat. Later, all the way in Book 10, Tavora finally cracks. See, Tavora is a character who has always kept herself closed off and was never really an energetic person. She always was weighed down by the pressure of her own ambition and the ambition of the Empress. And by the end, when she finally cracks, when she falls down and her brother comes to her and she grabs him and says, I lost her parent. I lost my sister. It's really, it's hard to put into words exactly how impactful such a moment is when you have a character that's been so long, been so distant and so stoic. As a choice, it always seemed like Tavora wore her distance like armor. Like she intentionally placed herself so far from everyone else, and with such arm's length. At that moment she has with her brother, Baron Janos. Technically they're both called Baron. It really cemented that this series is deep down about people like you and me, and not really the gods. Speaking of gods, the other moment is my favorite duo. Well, I guess one of my favorite duos is Shadowthrone and Cotillion. There's something about those two, man, and they just do their own stuff. Cotillion is out here throughout the book doing, I don't even know. Shadowthrone is there in the shadows, pun intended, cackling, doing, I don't even know. I don't even think he has a plan half the time. I think Cotillion is the one with the plans. And there's this moment in, I think it's House of Chains, the fourth book, but I'm not sure. And it's like a battlefield. I'm doing this off memory, so if I get details wrong, please don't crucify me in the comments. So there's this battlefield, and Cotillion is standing over this dead person, this dead woman. He kind of touches her dead body, like slowly, like her cheek or something, or maybe he brushes her hair away. And it's explicitly said that he does so slowly. That always really moved me in a way because we know Cotillion is really fast. Like at one point he kills a whole team of motherfuckers real quick. So since it's described that he does it slowly, we can conclude that he does so intentionally. He wants to slow down because he can move so fast, right? Being that can move so fast chooses to slow down. And Shadowthrone appears. Or maybe he stood there from the beginning. I don't know. I can't really remember. And he doesn't say anything. And normally Shadowthrone just talks and cackles and and he's so mad. He's like, I'm crazy, bro. He's that kind of guy. But here he's just standing there and he just lets Cotillion, who is in a weird way his only friend, he lets him have this moment. It's in a way very beautiful. And he doesn't cackle, he doesn't say, because he's still the boss, right? He is the boss. You can just say, Cotillion, what are you doing? Why are you concerned with, mere mortals? We are gods now, right? But he doesn't. He really doesn't. And he says, "Who is she?" or something like that. And Cotillion says, "Just a friend." There's just something about a series that has so many moving parts, so many battles and fights and history and so much going for it, that you take this little moment for two characters that are normally just off doing their thing, just have this very, very, very human moment. And they're kind of bad guys, but not really, because Malazan it's not about who's good and who's bad, because it's always more gray than just black and white, isn't it? The last, and you might, yeah, I picked some emotional beats because those are the moments I really, really gravitate towards. And I find that to write something, to write a great piece of work, to write a good piece of work, you need to have all the you need to have good prose, good characters, all that. But to write a great story, you need to nail the small moments. Great stories are about the small moments. And I think this scene is one of them. My final scene. The last scene is in all the way in Total of Hounds. The last one. The last one. The eighth book. First, we have to establish Alamander Rake and Kaladin Brood's relationship. They are buddies. Long ago, they're gods, so they don't age. Gods can be killed in Malazan, but they don't age. So hundreds of thousands of years ago, they did their whole thing, right? They did their campaigns. They did all the stuff. By the time the story starts, it's a little bit different. They're kind of grown apart, as friends do. And there's a moment in book 3 where Rake draws his sword or something. He stands in the camp, Kaladin Brood's camp, and Brood says, "Rake, if you draw that sword, I'm gonna freaking fight you. Right? I'm gonna fight you." And Brood has this giant axe that can just, split mountains and, destroy the world essentially. And Rake has this weapon that is the most powerful weapon of all, Dragnapure, that can, you know, collect and steal the souls of the people it slays, which is metal as hell, man. So that moment shows there's a friction between the two of them. And then and then they don't fight, right? Because Whiskey Jack says something and Rake is like, "Huh, I agree, I don't want to fight." And Brood is like, "I don't want to fight either then." But then later, in that happens in Memories of Ice. So later in Total Hounds, Rake dies, man. And he fights Dasim Ultor, and it's a very cool fight. There's a lot of things leading up to this. First of all, Rake kills the Death God, Hood, right? Chops his head off. Killing the Death God is cool, no matter who you are, right? That's just cool to do. And then he fights Dasim Ultor, and it's a great fight. They're super fast. They're obviously in a level, like they're high level. They're max level, right? At this point, Casa Orlong has been well established, and Casa Orlong is super cool. He can kill a lot of people. He suplexes a dog, a High Hound of Shadow, at one point, or is it a demon? He just kills him with his fist. Very cool, very badass guy, who is so convinced he's the most badass guy to ever live. And then he sees this fight between Rake and Dawson, and it's like, I can't do anything here. I am a child here, which is fitting. He doesn't say that, but he calls normal people children because he's so big, right? And he realizes, in a strange realization of honesty and humility, he realizes, I'm totally outmatched here. If I stepped in here, I'll be killed. Like these two, Dawson and Rake, they can just kill me. I'm not all that. The truth is, no matter how strong or how good you think you are, there's always someone stronger or better than you. And in that moment, Casa realizes this. And it broadens his character too. But that's not the moment I'm talking about. The moment is after, when Rake dies. And he kind of gets slashed with his own blade, which is kind of gruesome. I always liked Rake. I kind of hoped Rake would win that one, but he didn't. But again, his time was there. And as Malazan says, we all have to go through its gate at some point. So Rake dies, and Brute arrives on the scene, right? And he sees his dead friend, slash rival, slash frenemy at this point. And there's no Kylan Brute's not he's not an emotional guy, right? And as I remember the scene, he looks at Rake and then he picks up Dragonpaw, right? And he walks over to, I don't remember exactly, but maybe a carriage or something, and he just throws the thing away onto the carriage, and everyone around, all the audience is like, because it's it's the most dangerous sword in the world, right? It's such a mythical sword, but Brute is like, this sword means nothing. This is just a thing. He might as well have thrown a rock, right? This is just a thing. Material stuff don't matter at the end. I want to bury my friend instead. And what I like about this scene is that's not said at any point, right? He's not saying, Bruce's not having a monologue, internal or outside, saying, I actually really sad Rake died. He doesn't. You know this by the way he treats Dractapor. It's just a sword. In that moment, that is just a sword. It doesn't matter. Right? Rake is dead. And I want to bury my friend. And I want to mourn my friend. And then, of course, there's a big funeral parade after. It's very touching, and that was actually the closest point I came to crying when I read the series. Those are my favorite moments. But the last one is something I think about often. But there's another little quick one that I want to fire off. It's just a small one. It's an interaction between Alamander Rake and I don't remember. I think it's the High Alchemist, but I'm not sure. And he basically Because basically, he's immortal, right? All his people is immortal. He can just fly Moonspawn, which is his moon base, up into space or wherever above the clouds and just wait 100 years, 200 years, and all the humans would be dead, and their children would be dead. Maybe their grandchildren would be dead, right? And it would just be a new set of problems. And he can just reset, like, oh, what's going on now, right? But he doesn't. He's invested in the struggles of the humans, of the Malazan Empire, of what happens. But why? And I think Baruch, the High Alchemist, asks that. I think he says something akin to, imagine that your will to living disappears. Imagine your will stops. That your motivation ends. You just live on. As a husk, basically. Not 100 years, 1,000 years, but forever. I need to try and motivate my people. And that's right? And you don't need any more from him. It doesn't like, oh, I'm doing this because Mother Dark didn't hurt me enough when I was a child. That's not it, man. That's not why he does it. He's a leader. And he wanna give his people something. And I find that very inspiring, to be honest. There are so many more there's so many more moments in this series. And but those are the 3.5 that really, really stood out to me. And that kind of shows that the series is, for all its difficulties and density and philosophical musings, it it's it hides a beating heart of pure passion. And I love the series to death, and I just wanted to share that. So that was a bit of a rambling. I did not script this at all, so hope you liked it. Actually really want to know, what is your favorite moment in Malazan Book of the Fallen? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see. So thank you. Bye.